What is oligarchy? Etymologically speaking, the word oligarchy comes from the two Greek words, oligon, which means few, and archo, which means to rule or to command. Hence, oligarchy literally means rule of the few. Formally speaking, oligarchy is a form of government in which political power effectively rests with a small, elite segment of society. Oligarchy was used by Aristotle in a negative sense to refer to despotic power exercised by a small and privileged group for often corrupt or selfish purposes. In most classic oligarchies, governing elites were recruited exclusively from a hereditary ruling caste, whose members tended to exercise power in the interests of their own class. Oligarchies have sometimes been synonymous with aristocracies, which were ruled by members of a noble class, or with plutocracies, that is, ruled by the wealthy members of a community. However, neither wealth nor noble birth are necessary conditions for belonging to the privileged group which rules an oligarchy. Historically, there have been organized oligarchies and unofficial oligarchies in which a group of advisors dictated the policies of an official ruler. In practice, almost all governments, whatever their form, are run by a small minority of members of society, and it is necessary to further examine the ways in which these individuals acquire and retain power in order to correctly understand whether a system of government is an oligarchy. Ancient Greek oligarchs characteristically possessed greater wealth and influence than the rest of the community, but noble birth was not a necessary condition for belonging to the ruling elite. In ancient Greece, the oligarchs were often a section of the old nobility which had excluded the poorer nobles from power. During the second half of the 5th century BCE, when Athenian ascendancy promoted democratic forms of government, there were still many oligarchic states in Greece, the most notable perhaps being at Corinth and at Thebes. The government of the Roman Republic is also often described as oligarchical. Historical examples of oligarchies are Sparta, which excluded the Helots, who made up the majority of the population, from voting; the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, in which only the nobility could vote; the English parliamentary system and execution of Charles I in 1649; and the restriction of the franchise to male property owners in young democracies, such as the early United States. A modern example of oligarchy, based on race, could be seen during the 20th century in South Africa in the apartheid system, which became official government policy in 1948 and lasted until the democratic election of a government dominated by the black majority in 1994. Russia has been labeled an oligarchy because, after the fall of communism, political power became concentrated in the hands of certain individuals who amassed great wealth by taking advantage of the new system.